There are a million stories in the naked city. Capernaum is no exception. The story you are about to hear is true. None of the names have been changed because the innocent don't need protecting. It's the guilty that we're into nailing, and as you will see, there is no shortage on the guilty. Me? The name's Thursday. Joe Thursday. I carry a badge. My partner, Frank Cannon, and I have been working some long hours on special assignments in Galilee from the big guy. The big guy? That'd be Pilate. Pontius Pilate. Nice guy, I suppose, but has a very irritable streak about him. Likes things to go smoothly, and recently that hasn't been the case. Lately, he'd been more bothered than a nudist in a feather duster factory. Seems there have been a lot of 1084s coming into the office, and he hates 1084s with a passion. 1084? That's a complaint of disorderly conduct with a blasphemous twist. Pilate hates 1084s. Not so much because he's a religious guy, but because on the 1084s he has to contend with the high priests and the Pharisees. And all the complaints seem to center around one person, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It all started simply enough. We had just ordered lunch from a little Greek cafe up the street from the precinct. Sure, it was expensive, but I figured they had to have a way to recoup the cost of the dishes they broke every time someone got married. Speaking of marriage, that was what the first phone call was about. From a wine cellar named Gallo, claimed this non-union guy was moving in on her territory, and she wanted us to give the grape a squeeze. Frank and I grabbed a piece of baklava and hit the road. Then we got off the road and headed for Cana. Frank?
Sure, Joe. Road ain't as hard as it used to be.
You're telling me, Frank. Remember the good old days when we really had some tough assignments?
Sure do, Joe. Camel thief rings, tent graffiti vandals, toga party riots.
That's right, Frank. Those were the days. Now what do we end up doing? Checking out disturbances at Canaanite weddings.
Doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't, Frank. No, it doesn't. Got a little baklava on your shirt there.
Hello.
Capernaum PD, ma'am. You called us on a 4482?
4482.
Making wine without a license?
Oh, yes, my officers.
You say someone's whining without a permit?
Yeah, that's right. I got this gig at a wedding. Mr. and Mrs. White's daughter getting married to the big... Supposed to be a big-time wedding, you know, over 300 guests. So he orders 8 barrels of Burgundy.
Uh-huh. So what happened?
Well, I had a little problem. I booked the web wedding this same day also, only they wanted a nice Chardonnay, you know.
Not really.
Hey, maybe you know him. He's a detective in the Galilee.
Jack Webb? Never heard of him.
My delivery guys got confused. Kind of hard to get good help on the delivery wagons, especially on the weekends.
Ma'am, just the facts.
Well, sure. Like I was saying, they got confused.
How so?
I told them to take 8 barrels of red to the whites and 3 barrels of white to the webs, but somehow that's
Let me guess. The whites got the whites and the webs got the reds.
No, the whites got 3 reds and the webs got 8 white.
Well, the whites could have gotten 8 whites instead of the red. Or they could have gotten 2 whites and 6 reds, while the webs could have gotten none of their white. No, wait. The webs could have settled on the red. No, that would have meant...
Don't hurt yourself, Frank. Excuse me, ma'am. Do you sell a blush?
No.
You should think about it.
Why?
Never mind. Anyway, why are we here?
Well, I got a call from the whites saying they had run out of red, so I caught up with the guys who delivered the loads and found they had fallen off the wagon.
Oh, so they drank the wine.
They actually fell off their wagon. I think that they both hit their heads because they couldn't remember what anyone got.
You know, Miss Gallo, I'm still not hearing a crime here.
Right, well, by the time I figured out what had happened and taken over the wine to the whites, that they were short, they weren't short anymore. They had plenty.
What do you mean?
Well, that's what I asked Mr. White when he told me they had plenty.
And?
Well, he tells me that one of his guests heard that they were out of wine, and so he put water into the barrels and turned it into wine.
What?
That's right. He turned water into wine. Dozens of people there saw him do it.
Let me get this straight. You short white 5 reds, while red gets 3 extra whites because your drivers fell off the wagon. So white wines to you for more red, but before you can rewind, a guest turns some H2O into a 5-barrel loss for your company. Am I close?
Yeah, that's about right.
What was this character's name?
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
That sounds familiar.
So why are you upset?
Isn't it obvious?
Not to me. What's the problem?
Listen, I make my living stomping stuff into a pulp, keeping it in the dark and waiting for it to mature enough to have dinner with it.
So does my wife. What's your point?
My point is that I got a business to run. I can't have somebody without a license, without any overhead and no inventory start hoarding out on my livelihood. I lost nearly 500 denarii on this one wedding alone.
Did the whites show the green on the red you delivered?
Well, yeah, the 3 barrels that got there. They paid me for them, but...
Miss Gallo, there's not much to do if there isn't a crime.
He just made wine out of thin air, or water. How can I compete with that?
I don't think you'll have to. You keep your drivers on the wagon and you won't lose any more business.
So I'm just out 500 denarii?
No, you still have your wine. In fact, it's getting pretty annoying.
But now I'm stuck with 5 barrels of red that I thought I had sold.
So? You think it'll go bad? It's wine, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but...
Look, Gallo, you want a little friendly advice?
Yeah, shoot.
The next time you book a white wedding, don't get tangled up with a wedding.
Huh?
Stop whining and try to keep your drivers in line.
Fine, protect and serve. Huh.
Well, we swung by the wedding without incident and checked out the story. Even tried some of the water. It was wine, all right. Pretty premium grape. In fact, it was probably the best wine I've ever tasted. The matzo balls were even better. But Jesus was nowhere to be found. Seems like he left right before we arrived. No matter, though. Like I said, no crime, no time. Well, we filed the report and pretty much forgot about it for a few weeks. That is, until the next call came in. It was from a doctor in Capernaum. He was rattling on and on about suing somebody for malpractice, and we wouldn't have given it another thought until I heard him mention the suspect's name. Yep, it was Jesus. Frank and I grabbed a couple of bagels for the road and headed out. You know, Frank, I still get this feeling that this isn't the first time we've had dealings with this Jesus character.
Of course not, Joe. Don't you remember the last scene?
No, Frank, I mean before that.
I don't know, Joe. I don't remember busting him for anything.
Well, whatever the case, if we find out he's making more bootleg vino, we're going to have to run him in.
You bet, Joe. I've already got the paperwork started. What happened to your beer?
Oh, it comes and goes. You got little locks in your teeth there, Frank.
Yes?
Capernaum PD, you called us on a 4832.
4832.
Practicing medicine without a license. May we come in?
Yes, you may. Oh, yes. Please come in. Please, won't you sit down?
No, sir, we never sit.
Oh, why not?
No reason really, we just never do.
So what's the story? I gathered from your phone call that you're a doctor, right?
That's right. I've been practicing medicine here in Capernaum for nearly 30 years.
Ever considered starting the real thing?
Pardon?
Never mind. What seems to be the problem?
Well, I wasn't there, but I've heard from a few of my patients say that there was this man, Jesus of Nazareth, a teacher who came through town and started teaching, right?
If you say so.
I do. Anyway, he finishes teaching over there on the mountains and comes down here into town. All these people just keep on following him. I mean, there were hundreds.
Please, sir, get to the complaint.
Sure. Well, several of them came up to him and he just started touching people and healing them. I mean, There were men, women, children. He was just throwing miracles around.
I see. Is this Jesus with the circus?
No, I told you. He's a teacher.
So when you say healed, what are we talking about here? Some guy has a headache and now it's gone, maybe the sniffles and now they're dry?
No, I mean really sick people. Paraplegics, lepers, a patient of mine who have hemorrhaging, demon-possessed people. One girl was even dead.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did this Jesus make you some wine before all this started happening? Like, a lot of wine?
No, I wasn't there, but I'm telling you, it's the truth.
Uh-huh. And how do you know that it's true?
Some of them are my patients. I've been working with some of them for years and years, and now they're cured.
Paraplegic.
He came running in here yesterday. The leper? He's thinking of doing skincare ads.
The dead girl?
I was there when she died. There was nothing I could do.
Let me get this straight. Patients of yours that you've been treating for years suddenly brush up against this Jesus guy and now they're doing jumping jacks in the street.
Well, yeah.
A little friendly advice? Seems like you may want to stop practicing and get a job you're good at.
Hey, I resent that. I mean, these are diseases that don't have any cures.
Apparently they have one.
That one is a teacher who's out there taking away my caseload. He can't just go around pretending to be a doctor when he's not one. I'll lose my practice.
Maybe then you can start doing the real thing.
I am doing the real thing.
Apparently not very well, or your patients wouldn't be dying.
She was really sick.
Isn't that why people have doctors?
Are you going to arrest him for illegal practicing medicine or not?
Sure we will. As soon as some of the people he's wronged lodge a formal complaint.
Are you kidding me? Who in the world is going to complain about getting healed?
Well, that's a good question. You know of anyone?
Well, I guess I'll try Bartholomew. He's a leopard. Or I guess was a leopard. Who lives in the village square near the pool. He'll verify that what I've said is true.
Okay then, we'll be in touch.
Listen, I want this man prosecuted, and I want it done soon. If you let people just go around healing people at will, it will turn the medical field on its head.
We'll look into it, sir. If there's anything to it, we'll pursue it. Write that down, Frank. That's a lot better than protect and serve. I need to bring it up in the next meeting.
So that's it?
Like I said, we'll be in touch.
I hope so. I pay taxes, you know.
Good day, sir. And we can have a mascot. So, Frank, what do you think?
I'd say that for being a doctor, he sure is short on patience.
Excellent observation once again, Frank. Let's say you and I get the scoop from this Bartholomew fella.
Good idea, Joe. He should be just around the corner up here, according to what the doc said.
Thank goodness. If my dogs were barking any louder, I'd have to arrest myself for disturbing the peace.
Hey, Joe, can I ask you something?
What's that, Frank?
Lepers kind of give me the creeps.
Oh, brother, Frank.
I can't help it. The thought just makes my skin crawl.
Frank, according to the doc, he's an ex-leper.
Still.
Hey, Frank, whatever you say.
Here it is. And remember, Joe, that guy's not used to shaking hands. Don't scare him.
Listen, officers, I know I've been panhandling a lot, but all that's going to change.
No, we're not here about that. We're here to ask you about your, condition.
Sure, but what condition are you talking about?
Well, we heard that until recently you were a bit of a... well, that you had... What I mean is... that you were,
Mr. Bartholomew, were you a leper?
Well, yes, that is, I had a very severe case of a skin condition that caused sores all over my body.
Uh-huh. And when was the last time you actually noticed the sores?
Actually, I had some pretty terrible ones up until yesterday. Yeah, on my face and arms, all over really.
I don't see any now.
Nope, I'm completely cured.
Even with the best medicines, they wouldn't heal that quickly.
I agree, my doctor has been prescribing different creams and lotions for nearly 20 years, nothing helped.
So, what made the change?
Well, I was over near a fountain yesterday when a teacher that I had been hearing about came by with a huge following.
Happened to catch his name?
Sure, Jesus of Nazareth. Surely you've heard of him.
Starting to become familiar.
Anyway, I had heard stories about the locals that was an amazing man who had made people well in the last few days, so I figured I would ask him if he could help me with my problem.
Where did this happen?
Right over there. He was walking by and chatting with a pair of friends. I figured someone had just told a joke or something because they were all laughing. I thought it was a perfect time and I must have been right.
How exactly did it go? Was there a potion involved or some chanting, perhaps?
Did he offer to turn the fountain into wine?
No, not at all. I just walked up and he saw me coming and stopped. I almost didn't approach him then, but because I figured he might just think I was a thief or something, but the way he looked at me, he told me it was okay.
What did you say to him?
I said, Master, if you want to, you can heal my body.
And?
He said, I want to be clean. He touched me. He touched right on the face, right on my shoulders, and I remember thinking that nobody had touched me in so many years. He was so kind. For a minute I remember thinking, what have I done? He's going to get my disease. He drew his hand away and I saw that it was clean.
So the sore on your face was gone?
No, all the sores were gone. I could feel it as soon as he touched me. They just dried up.
Forgive my skepticism, Mr. Bartholomew, but we don't see one mark on your face or arms. Even if he healed them, there'd still be some remnants, some scars.
I can't tell you that. I don't know, but see for yourself. Go ahead, feel how smooth they are.
No thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Frank. They look fine.
I'll pass.
Pass out, you mean? Again.
Anyway, I suppose he's some sort of magician trying to promote a show.
He made a special point to tell me not to talk about it over town. Told me just to present myself to the priest and give thanks to God.
You don't say.
Well, I'm not supposed to. How did you guys find out?
Your doctor called us.
So much for doctor-patient confidentiality.
Is he the only one you told?
No, of course, there's the priest, like I said, plus all my friends. After all, I'm not a... Well, I was, but even lepers have friends.
Thanks for the information. We may stop back by if we have any questions.
Anytime. You sure you don't want to feel it for yourself?
I'm sure. Thanks anyways.
Frank will be in touch. I mean, he'll call you. Hey Frank, I've been feeling kind of itchy. Does this look like leprosy to you?
Cut it out, Joe.
What did you think of that storm we had earlier?
That was strange, all right. I've never seen it come and go just like that before.
Maybe that should be our first question for Stormy, once he calms down.
Maybe that's what he's upset about.
Maybe. I guess we'll know in a minute.
You hungry?
Main course is next, Frank. I haven't heard anyone that angry since Frank's mom had us over for Passover, and she started...
Joe, you promised.
Right. So what's up?
You ever heard of a guy named Jesus?
As a matter of fact, yes. What did you do now?
Well, a friend of mine is one of his followers. He goes out with him on some of his teaching expeditions. He's going to do some pretty amazing things. Personally, I don't believe half of what he tells me he's seen this Jesus guy do, but he's convinced this guy is the real thing.
The real thing?
Yeah, you know, the Messiah, the one sent from God to save us from our unrighteousness.
Hey, that sounds really familiar.
So, why are you so mad?
Well, did you notice that storm that blew in a little while ago?
Sure we did. We were going to ask about it. Did it stop just as quickly as it did over at our place?
Like nothing I've ever seen. It was actually one of the worst low-pressure systems I've seen in my entire career. Did you hear my forecast last night?
I missed it. Did you know this was going to happen?
Well, yes, and no. That's why I'm so angry.
How so?
Well, I accurately predicted this storm. Said so last night. Should have gotten rain for 3 days.
What happened?
He happened.
Who? Jesus?
Yes, my friend Nathaniel called me right after the storm stopped. Tell me what had happened.
What happened?
Okay, the storm came up, just like I knew it would, and just as the front was passing, Nate said they're out in the middle of the Sea of Galilee.
Go on.
Well, they were all afraid that the storm was going to sink their boat. The waves kept getting higher and higher, and the boat was pitching like it was going to capsize.
Apparently he doesn't listen to your broadcast either.
Yes, well, be that as it may, everyone on the boat was screaming for their lives. Everything it is, but one.
Let me guess.
Jesus?
Joe, I was going to guess.
Sorry, Frank.
Yes, Jesus. And you know what he was doing?
Turning the Sea of Galilee into wine.
What? No. Anyway, he was down inside the boat, fast asleep.
During the storm?
Yes, during the storm. They had gotten down to wake him up because they were afraid the boat would go down with all of them in it.
This is why you're upset.
No. It was his response to the storm that makes me mad.
No? How did he respond?
He stopped it.
He stopped what?
He stopped the storm.
What are you talking about?
Look, Nate told me that they woke him up, right? And they told him they're gonna die, you know. They said, Master, save us, we're going down.
So did he panic?
No! He laughed at them. He said, why are you such cowards? He walked up on the deck, looked out over the storm, and said, silence.
And?
And the storm stopped. Didn't taper off, didn't come down, it stopped. Nate said it was like someone flipped a switch.
What's a switch?
I have no idea. But he said the sea became as smooth as glass and the clouds just vanished. It was the most beautiful day he'd ever seen.
But how?
I don't know. There's no way that rain was going to stop for days, I know it. You can't just do that.
Well, apparently somebody can.
Let me get this straight. You're upset because it stopped raining.
No. Well, yes. He's messing with how I make my living. How'd you like it if somebody all of a sudden snapped his fingers and said, lawbreakers be gone?
I've tried that. It doesn't work.
Seriously, how can I ever predict what the weather's going to be like? This guy can change it anytime he wants.
How can you predict what the weather's going to be like even if Jesus wasn't around? You never get it right.
I did today. Or at least I would have.
Listen, Stormy. If you really want to get the weather right, I suggest you talk to this Jesus.
Hey, yeah. Maybe he'd be interested in letting me predict the weather and then changing it to match my predictions. That would be so cool.
Actually, Stormy, I know this Jesus is into miracles and all that, but asking the weather person to be accurate may be a little ambitious, even for him.
So you're not going to do anything about it?
Sure we are.
But, Joe, we can't arrest someone for changing the weather. We don't even have a code for that.
No, I don't suppose we do.
So what are you going to do?
I say we grab a bucket of chicken and a blanket. Have you seen the weather's like today?
Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine.
You Blue and Bell?
Yep, that's us. Blue and Bell, best dogs in all of Galilee.
Yep, people come from miles around just for one of our hot dogs. Obviously, you've heard of us.
No, it's on your sign.
You called the local union with a complaint.
We sure did. See that man over there? You need to arrest him.
On what charge?
Distributing food without a license. Did it right in front of us.
Tell us exactly what happened.
Well, he's been teaching here for the better part of the day.
Yeah, the crowds have been unreal. We figured we'd set up our stand and make a killing.
You got a license?
Of course. We've been selling hot dogs in this region for the last 8 years.
Alright, go on.
So anyway, we could tell nobody else was working this event. So we figured we'd clean up.
How much for a dog anyway?
5 denarii, 6 with a drink and some fig chips.
6 denarii? That's highway robbery.
We prefer to think of it as Galilean way.
Say, what exactly is in those things anyways?
Meat.
What kind of meat?
Makes nam that eat me.
It's times like these I wish I could have taken a foreign language in school.
It's Pig Latin, Frank. Wait. Pig Latin. I think it's a hint. Are they pork?
Maybe.
Beef?
Perhaps.
Mutton?
Could be.
Veal?
Possibly.
Squirrel?
No. At least I don't think so.
You mean you don't know what's in these things?
Sure we do. Hot dogs.
Comforting.
But they're delicious. Tell you what, how about you try one on the house?
Frank?
No thanks, Joe. I prefer to know what I'm eating.
Can we get back to why we're here?
Oh, right. Anyways, this Jesus guy has been teaching her all day, and the crowds are starting to get hungry. So I figured we better get busy.
I overheard some of his followers go up to him and tell him that the people were starting to grumble about their hunger. They thought that because they were way out here in the middle of nowhere, there would be nothing to eat.
Yeah, like we weren't even here.
Maybe they don't like junk food.
Hey!
What did Jesus say?
He told the disciples to get people into groups of 50 or 100 and that he would take care of it.
Take care of it?
Yeah, you know, the food for these people.
Did he bring his own wagons full of food?
No, he didn't bring anything. In fact, his followers didn't even have any food with them.
So, how is he planning on feeding them?
I overheard him asking his followers if there was any food at all. One of them told him they had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
Sounds like a kid's sack lunch. What did Jesus say to that?
He just told them to bring him the food and to get the people organized. Then he blessed the food, and his followers started distributing it.
That much food wouldn't go far.
But it did. He fed all of them. When they finished, they had 12 baskets left over.
Let me get this straight. Jesus takes 2 sardines and 5 biscuits and manages to feed over 5,000 people and have 12 baskets left over.
Yep, that's right.
That's impossible, Joe.
I know, Frank. But where else did this food come from?
And that's why you need to arrest him. He's been distributing food without a license of any kind.
And why exactly are you so bent about this?
Look, we're law-abiding business women here. How are we supposed to compete with someone who just waves his hand over something and it becomes 1,000 times more than what it was?
It's all about the volume.
What?
How many people you figure are here?
I'd say 5,000, maybe more.
How many hot dogs you got in that wagon?
I don't know, maybe 200?
I'm no math major, but I'm failing to see how this shrimpy little hot dog stand would have supplied as many people as Jesus did.
That's hardly the point.
Yeah, we paid good money for our food license. And we can't use it for someone's going to be giving out free food.
Did you say free?
Yes, free. He just took it and started giving it away to everyone.
And without a license. Arrest him.
You can't arrest someone for a picnic. If he didn't charge anyone anything for the food, then he hasn't committed a crime.
Oh. Then he turned me into a leper.
A leper?
Frank, calm down. She's not a leper.
How can we be sure?
Blue, a leper?
Well, I got better.
Look, Blue, you want a little advice?
Only if it will help sell some of these dogs.
Well, if you're looking for a miracle, you should probably talk to that Jesus. But have you ever thought of selling something that people wanted to eat instead?
Hey, that's a good idea. Any suggestions?
It's awfully hot out. How about selling something cool and refreshing?
Like ice cream.
That would be good.
Blue and Bell's ice cream.
Too long. How about Bluebell's ice cream?
I'd bite.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it's got to be more stable than the hot dog business. It's way too unpredictable.
What did you say?
It's way too
before that.
It's got to be more stable than
That's it.
What's it?
I just remembered where we know this Jesus from.
Thanks, girls. Good luck with the ice cream business. I'm sure it'll be a big hit. Joe! you talking about, Joe?
Do you remember back about 30 years ago, back when we were working the Bethlehem beat?
Vaguely.
We were sent out to investigate a celestial disturbance, remember?
Yeah, now that you mention it.
We followed that star, that huge star, all the way to a stable, remember?
Oh yeah, and some young lady couldn't get a room, ended up having a baby in that stable.
Yes. Do you remember what she said when we asked her what she was going to name the baby?
Yes, I think the husband said, we're going to name him what the angel told us to. His name is...
Jesus.
You don't think that's the same?
Why not? It makes sense. Remember all the weird stuff that happened that night? And remember how the astronomers who were following the star said it was the sign of the birth of the new king, the Messiah, the one sent from God to save us from our unrighteousness.
There are a few kids in this world named Jesus. Hey, wait a minute. I remember that night. I talked pretty extensively with the father.
Yeah, so did I. Do you remember the story he told us? The one I had a hard time swallowing?
You mean about the dreams?
Well, that, yes. And how they weren't married yet. He said that he has told in his dreams that the baby was conceived by God.
I remember that.
If he's performing all these miracles, it would make sense.
Yes, I suppose it would. So what do we do?
I think it's time we reported back to the big guy. Tell him we think we solved a 30-year-old mystery. We had been on this assignment for more than 2 years. During that time, we had set many appointments to talk to Pilate, but he always sent word back that we were to keep tabs on this Jesus. It wasn't hard. Seemed like every time we turned around, we were getting more reports of things he had been up to. He kept healing people, and he cast out demons. He drove some of them into a herd of pigs. Farmer was really upset about that one, but we couldn't prove anything. We were on the case several more months, eventually following him all the way to Jerusalem. Still, nothing that he did broke any laws. Well, he did heal someone on the Sabbath, but since the man was not complaining, we just filled out the paperwork and sent it on to Pilate. Eventually, a good friend of his died. 4 days later, he went to the place where he was buried and raised him up. After 4 days. Well, Frank and I decided we had to speak to Pilate and fill him in on what we knew. We filled out the report on this Lazarus guy, faxed it over to him, and told him we needed to fill him in on the whole investigation. We figured he would be glad to have the whole picture and act accordingly. We were wrong. Have a cookie.
Gentlemen, come in, come in. I've received your report, and I must say I'm quite satisfied with it.
Thank you, sir. We like to be thorough.
And I'd like to wish you good luck on your next assignment here in Jerusalem.
Thank you, sir. Next assignment?
That's right. I'm taking you off this case and reassigning you to our Jerusalem office.
Is it because you haven't been able to find anything to charge on this Jesus?
Not exactly. I'm issuing a warrant for his arrest.
On what charge?
Inciting a riot.
What riot? We've been watching him for the last several months and have seen nothing but adoring crowds following him around. Just yesterday, he rode into town on a donkey and they went crazy for him. I haven't seen crowds that excited since the local cobble had a buy one, get one free sale on sandals.
Okay, what I meant to say was vandalism.
Vandalism?
Yeah, vandalism.
What did he vandalize?
A tree. Not even 2 weeks ago.
A tree?
Yeah, a tree. A fig tree. Perfectly healthy. He walked right up to it and killed it with just a touch. Just because it didn't have any figs on it and he was hungry.
We didn't hear anything about it.
The only ones that knew of were his disciples. One of them tipped us off.
He came to you?
Well, no, not exactly. You'll have to trust me on this one.
A vandalism charge is a misdemeanor. You mean to say you can hold him on that?
Well, maybe not on its own.
What else you got?
How about an assault?
Jesus assaulted someone?
Yes. A little. Indirectly.
Who?
A money charger in the temple recently.
I didn't hear anything that he assaulted anyone.
One of the tables landed on the money charger's foot. Or at least a pot or something. I'm a little vague on the details.
Details are kind of important. Is that really enough to arrest him on?
What about working on the Sabbath?
The guy he healed is pressing charges?
Doesn't need to. Healing on the Sabbath is illegal.
Again, a misdemeanor.
Alright, blasphemy. How's about that? Is that a misdemeanor?
What did he say that was blasphemous?
He's claiming that he is the Son of Man. He's doing so many of these miracles that people are starting to believe him.
Sir, that's really what we wanted to talk to you about.
Oh?
Yes, sir. I think he might actually be
I can't hear you! I can't hear you! I still can't hear you! I can't hear you! I can't hear you! I'm not listening to you! I can't hear you! I still can't hear you!
Sir, could we dispense with the childish behavior?
I'm not being childish, and if you say that again, I won't be your friends anymore!
That's it. Time out. No, sir. We just think you should know that we remember this Jesus from more than 30 years ago.
What? That's impossible!
No, sir. We were at the Bethlehem PD then and went out on a celestial disturbance. Long story, but the upshot is that we think he's the one who was prophesied to be the Messiah.
Look, I'm arresting him, and that's final, and you guys are off the case.
Even if this guy is who he says he is.
Especially if he is who he says he is.
I don't get it. Why?
Look, you guys aren't the only ones who are keeping an eye on Jesus.
Who else?
The Pharisees, the Sadducees, you name it. They're convinced that he's here to take over. I've got to silence this now before it gets out of control.
But you can't arrest him on trumped-up charges. This is against everything we stand for.
Which is why you're off the case. Sorry, boys.
What's going to happen to him?
Honestly, I have no idea. I'm going to leave it up to the people.
But don't they love him?
Some do, many don't.
What could happen to him?
Probably nothing. I'm hoping to scare him out of this public demonstration stuff.
But Chief, you don't understand. We've seen what this man can do. If he's the real deal, he isn't going to stop.
Well, let's hope for his sake that he isn't. Look, I appreciate everything that you've done in this regard.
Just doing our job, sir.
And I'm doing mine. I hope you understand.
We do. We'll be hoping that everything works out for the best.
Me too, boys. Me too.
But of course, things didn't work out the way anyone could have imagined. Jesus was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to death by the very people who were praising him last week. We saw him as the sentence was carried out yesterday. It was awful, brutal. The fact that he died would say that perhaps we were wrong about him being the Messiah. But something tells me that it may not be over just yet. I guess we'll see. That's for another day. But as for Frank and me, we're just a couple of beat cops doing our jobs. Yep. There are a million stories in the naked city. H2O into a 5... Dang it.
That was so close.
I know.
What's the problem?
Awesome.
Wait, what should my pose be? They have poses. Him.
It's not my line. Remember scripts.
Like dyslexia.
Take that over again. It's so funny.
I'm confused.
Try new skincare. Turn the whole. Yeah. There's more.
Listen, officers, I know I've been hand. Wait, are we doing the doing a thing now?
Not yet. We still gotta get some part
Go look at that body. 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 Go look at that body.
No. That would be so cool.
Actually have the wind and the sea come to here.
21 is the bottom. The bottom of 21 is where it begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry. We can't arrest.
I'm sure it'll be a big hit.
I got that boom, 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 that future boom, boom, boom. Let me get it now. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta get.
Dang it.
Sorry. We can't arrest someone for.
But we think we have.
Yeah, but don't look at us after you say it.
Yeah.
Settled on the red.
Don't hurt yourself, Jack.
I won't.
Joe, Frank.
No.
Just kidding. It's totally.
Keep rolling.
When do you stop? So gross. Don't look at it.
Run through this. I'm not major, but I'm feeling.
I'm just like, no, we can't put it on a chair.
I'm gonna move him closer to them.
Guys, I don't know.
You can't.
Try to add more depth to your character. Yes, Jesus of Nazareth. That's the man right there. That's sexy man right over there.
Isn't that what?
Guys, oh.
That's Joe. No, it's not. That's who it is. It says Frank.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere.
Spencer.
What? What I do?
Want to? Do you think?
Yeah, because you were looking down to me.
A few times?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a gummy bear. Yes, I'm a gummy bear.
Yeah, what you're gonna have to cut to like some fountain from France.
Right over there.
Alright. Yeah, a fig tree, perfectly healthy. Nah.
Blue and Bell.
Why, yes, that's us, officers. What?
Fabulous. Maybe
Yeah,
question you
that's
about
us.
some people.
What page?
You called the. Sorry. Okay. Gonna have to... You called the.
Mr. and Mrs. White's daughter are getting married to the baker's boy.
Oh.
And when you say that, man, like, let's exit and I can take all the hot dogs with me.
I'm failing to see how that. I'm no math man. Okay. Sometimes.
What?
I'm an astronomical physicist. I'm talking about a detective.
I'm no math major, but I'm failing to see how. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So difficult.
It is difficult. There's shrimpy and there's figure right next to each other.
TikTok.